This challenge is one of my favorite things in the world. It's color theory from the inside out, and this week's challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to deeply befriend one color or pigment and record all of your studies and findings in your studio color notebook. How does this work? First, choose a color, and this could be one that you've been curious about, or that you just love, or that you've been working with lately. And this can either be a single pigment color, or perhaps the color with an intriguing name, or a color mixture that is just like your favorite tube from the store. Step 2, investigate. And there are 3 potential ways you could investigate. The first one is technical ways to explore your color. If it is a mixture color, then you can investigate, how do you mix it? What pigments go into making this color? You can find that information oftentimes on the back of the tube of paint. And if you can't, then you can often find it online. Is there more than one way to mix this convenience color? If it's a single pigment color and you're actually investigating a pigment, is there anything interesting about the chemical properties of this color? Or is there an interesting way that the pigment is made? Second way to investigate your color is practical. So you can take your paint color and mix it with a whole bunch of different colors and then have a study that shows, here is the effect that this color has on a lot of different colors. And, swatching is fun, and it would be really great information for you to have in your studio color notebook for later. Okay, you could paint a painting that showcases your color. So much fun to do. And so I will leave it open-ended because that could mean a lot of things. A third idea for investigating your color is historical. So what's the backstory on your pigment? What's the story about the naming of this color? How was it invented? Was it discovered? Spill the tea. Okay, so then the next thing you do after you've done all of your investigating, or while you're doing all the investigating, is document it. Put it in your studio color notebook via color swatches or studies, notes, and if you have some interesting history, perhaps jotting some of that down. And all of this is going to be great data for your future work. And then finally, share it. You can share it here. If there's something that interested or delighted you or surprised you about your color, I'd love it if you'd put it in the comments below, or if you did a post of your own on social media or on YouTube, then feel free to put a link in your comments so that we can go check it out on your website or your social media, etc. Or if you would like to send me a photo and I can share it with the group, the email address will be colortheory@annelivingston.com. So I will be doing this as well. And in fact, I've already begun with my color of this challenge. And I've left a few hints of what the hue might be. Yeah, pretty subtle. My color is Hooker's Green. So Hooker's Green is really special to me. There was a time many decades ago when I was standing in an art supply store looking at a tube of paint and it said Hooker's Green, and I was thinking, yeah, there's got to be a story there, and there's this sense of some colors out there that have very intriguing names, and don't you just want to know the backstory? Well, I definitely did. And so a few years ago, let's see, 2018, was it 6 years ago? Maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I did a 100-day project called 100 Days of Color Backstory. And what I wanted to do was dig into a lot of the history or interesting stories about different colors. And it was such a sweeping and majestic experience for myself. I had the time of my life. I posted it onto Instagram and I wrote a lot of my findings, and then I would paint a painting that showcased the color. And one of the colors that I could not wait to investigate was indeed Hooker's Green. Do I have the book? Okay. and I learned a lot, and I have such a deep appreciation for Hooker's Green now. So I thought that it would be really fun this week and probably next week to work a little bit more deeply on some of the backstory of Hooker's Green, and also to explore the using of it and the mixing to create it, because Hooker's Green is not a single pigment color, it is a mixture, and it is a mixture made by a botanical illustrator named William Hooker from the 1800s, and his specialty was actually fruit, especially apples. And I can't wait to tell you the story behind Hooker's Green. But this week what I'll do in this video is I'm going to share some of the more technical and practical studies I did. And then next week I will share the history of Hooker's Green. This challenge is one of my favorite things in the world. The opportunity to delve into something that you love and have it take you to all different kinds of places, as I call it, the rabbit hole of research. And if you like to research things, then it's bliss. Because color doesn't just connect to art, it connects to history, it connects to science, it connects to poetry. It's so wonderful to see where you can land. And it really takes me back to one of my first true scholarly moments of nirvana. And I think I was a junior in college, and I was in an upper level class that was way over my head, to be honest. I think that there might have even been a couple of grad students in this class, and it was a comparative literature class. And but I'm not sure what happened. I don't think it was necessarily the professor, but I suddenly found myself going down these research tangents that I found utterly fascinating. And so I started spending time in used bookstores looking for some out-of-print books. Like I wound up reading Tolstoy's The Kreutzer Sonata because it took me down one little alleyway. And then there was another segue where for some reason I needed to buy a copy of this book called Gödel, Escher, Bach. And I wound up making a Mobius strip with paper. And somehow this was related to the history of this piece of literature that I was reading. And and I would just go and hang out at the used bookstore and just talk to the people there, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And it's if you have never found yourself down a romantic rabbit hole of research, I think that it might be time now to give it a try. It's like nothing else. And let a color that you love be this launch pad for a really cool, small journey. My Hooker's Green journey began this time actually looking at the leaves on apple trees, because William Hooker actually made this color of green in order to best represent leaves. And he did so by mixing, oh hello spider. Yes, sometimes the journey is the friends you make along the way. Anyway, Hooker made his special green using Prussian blue and, oh, more friends. Hi.
How are you doing, ladies?
How you going? Hi. Yes. All right, back to the research. Our neighbor has an espalier. They're training an apple tree to grow flat against a fence that they've built. It's so cool. Anyway. So William Hooker would make his green with Prussian blue and gamboge, which is an orangey yellow tree resin that comes from a tree that originated from Cambodia and also can be found in Southeast Asia. So I just went around the neighborhood to find a whole bunch of apple trees and admire the leaves, knowing that I was going to come back and try to color match some of them. This is one of my favorite apple trees in the neighborhood. It's actually crab apples, and they are so cute, cute, cute. I am obsessed. This crabapple tree is called, I believe, an Everett crabapple tree. Um, yes, if I were to ever have an apple tree, I think I would want to have this one. It's just look at these. Look at them. So cute. Another reason why I have been looking at all these trees is because I plan on teaching a quick demo for you later this week of how to paint leaves and depict them accurately so that they're convincing using color and value. This is Golden Paints, Golden Acrylics, Hooker's Green Hue, and I'm painting it on this card to match up with the leaves. Look at that. It's just a blue-green. Absolutely does not match these leaves at all. So it's time to figure something out. I wound up adding some yellow to that color, and the color was nickel azo yellow. So I decided to do some color studies inside. This is a leaf that I had permission to take. All right, there is the golden acrylic. And then here is Daniel Smith watercolor. And now I am completely out of focus and not realizing it. I did some studies where I took Prussian blue paint in oil and in watercolor, and then Prussian blue hue right there. That's the acrylic one. Mix them with nickel azo yellow, and I'm using nickel azo yellow as a substitute for gamboge, which is not, well, it's toxic and it fades, so not a good candidate. So essentially I spent a couple of hours messing around with all of these different paints to kind of get a sense of if I could match the green of the leaves close enough to be useful and convincing. And I think that I really like this Hooker's Green Hue plus the nickel azo yellow. The Hooker's Green Hue actually has some nickel azo yellow in it. As you can see on the right, the Hooker's Green that is made by Daniel Smith watercolor, which is just to the right of the Golden Paints one, it's just too bright and vivid. It's too colorful for the leaf. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be dulled down a little bit. So look right there, I'm adding a little bit of quinacridone magenta, actually, even to the green that I had, because I just feel like these apple leaves are, you need to kick down the green a little bit to make it look natural, but still vibrant, not brown, but just a little bit of quinacridone magenta. And then I'm also, oh, look, I could figure out the color of the stem as well, which is weirdly kind of pink/red. So when I do the leaf demo in a couple of days, I will probably use this golden paint Hooker's Green Hue because it contains indanthrone blue, quinacridone magenta, and nickel azo yellow. And the nice thing is I have these paints on hand in golden acrylics, and so I can kick up the warmth if I need to, or make it cooler and more blue again for shadows perhaps. I can mute the color with quinacridone magenta. And so those three colors together, I think, are going to be really, really awesome. And I might even be able to do some apples with those colors as well, because that magenta and the nickel azo yellow will probably yield some good red action. Here I'm doing some leaves just for color matching experimentation, but when I do the leaf painting demo, it's going to show leaves sort of in their natural state, so they won't just be flat like this. It'll be as if, if it's growing on the tree. I'm really enjoying refining the green to color match fairly closely, but I was also kind of wondering if William Hooker had how closely it was matched when he was painting these. Green was relatively hard to come by in terms of original pigments. So of course you would have to mix something to get an accurate leaf green. Alrighty, it is your turn. I am really looking forward to finding out what color you're going to be investigating. So in the comments below, go ahead and maybe tell me which color you think you might want to start looking into, or if you're trying to decide between a few, list them out. And then later on, after you have found something interesting or surprising about this color, then maybe you could share that as well. Yay. Okay, I'm so glad we're doing this together. See you soon.